Yourself. You might need a couple Coors Lights depending on how things go for the Avs tonight against the San Jose Sharks. Two goalies playing their old teams. Right off the bat, how do you feel about Alexander Georgiev going up against the Avs tonight?
Well, there's always that. Boy, oh boy, there's always that. Again, I can remember myself being traded a few times. It's just human nature, right? I think that there's a sense of rejection. There's a sense of you want to prove people right and you want to prove people wrong. That's just the fact, right? You want to prove the San Jose Sharks right and you want to prove the Avalanche wrong, that you were let go. And, at the end of the day, it's just there's a bump. It's like when you fire a coach and there's a new coach coming in and there's always that coach bump. Well, when you're playing against your former team, and the same goes for Blackwood. There's so many freaking Wedgwood, Blackwood. You know what I mean, like Blackburn. So same goes for Blackwood. So you're playing against your former teammates. You know their tendencies. It could be good. It could be bad. It could make you think more as a shooter because you know Georgie, right? You know what I mean? And then you're like, and then you overthink things. And same thing for a goalie. Sometimes you can overthink Mikko's shot because he's going high glove and all of a sudden he sneaks it by 5-hole. You know what I mean? So it can be a plus, it can be a negative. I think that you got to trust your instincts. But like I said, it's a fun night, and a night like tonight for both goaltenders to go up against their former team that was a week ago. So you know what I mean, something like that. So it's a weird feeling. It is a weird feeling. There's no ifs and buts about it. It's worse, I think, as a player. Because of the physical contact and the competing part, you know what I mean? Where, you just kind of, it's a physical sport, and you're going up against that, a guy you just had dinner with, and you're sitting on the bus with talking about your wife and your future plans and your life. You know what I mean? It's a weird feeling, but goalies, it's more get out there, stop the puck, and let's go.
Is there a chance someone just puts a little extra oomph behind a clapper tonight into Georgiev, or do you think not realistic?
Yeah, you know what I mean. I think I've always said that, even during when it happened, the trade there the other day. It's never about the person or whatever it is. It's just that clearly it wasn't a fit. You know what I mean, for him anymore, in the sense that they felt a change was needed. I think. I mean, I'm the first one to say it. I'll stand behind what I said, and. So I think it's more like it's never personal. It's always it's sports. It's about wins and losses and what you feel can make you a better team. The Avalanche felt that they were better off by going to get Blackwood, by sacrificing a good player, like I said, like in Kovalenko. You know what I mean? Where you know what I mean? He wasn't going to play top 6 minutes in that Avalanche squad, and so you're able to make him a casualty of of stuff. I can go back to the long time ago we made a trade. I mean, the guy just retired last week, Kevin Shattenkirk. We never wanted to trade him. He was a casualty of a trade, and somehow though we ended up with Eric Johnson. That was the Denver's longest tenured athlete. So it always works out somewhere in the end if things are are the efforts are put in the right way, and you're used the right way, and you're a good fit wherever you end up. And sometimes you end up there and it's not a good fit and you end up somewhere else. And so far so good. I think that Blackwood has lived up to expectations. I think Kovalenko's played well for a young ascending team like the Sharks, and then Georgiev's been Georgiev for a couple games there. And tonight it's fun because you all put him back on the same ice, and it's kind of fun to see what's going to happen.
We'll get back to the goalie conversation in a second. Looking at the Avs lineup tonight, they did call up Jiri Inola earlier today. Expectation he fills that fourth line role that you've seen Smith fill it. You saw Felleber fill it the other night. I don't want to get too much into Inola specifically because the role remains the same. You're going to play 6 minutes and not much is going to happen on the ice. But my question is, what is the reasoning for the Avalanche behind this rotation of guys in that fourth line spot? Are they looking to spark something, or are they just seeing what they have? What's going on here?
Well, I think you're just a little bit of a victim of the road trip in the sense that you've been on the road. You're going out west now, and you know what I mean? It's when it's down the street, you can call up a guy for a practice, kind of see what's going on. Then where are you at now? They're trying to find a fit. Quite frankly, you don't know how to deal. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. You know how to deal with it. You don't know how to plan for injuries because there's no planning for injuries. You just don't know what's going to happen. So it just happened that they've had some different types of news on Miles Wood, for example, and then Joe Druin and. All of a sudden both were back and then both were gone. And now it's more month to month or whatever it is with Drew. But, somewhere, somehow you're like, okay, what do we do? And we've tried a few guys. We're trying a few more guys. You traded for a goaltender and then Gianni Smith came with it. Then you tried him for a couple games. The experiment went okay in the sense that he was caught for a couple bad penalties that, ended up being
okay. It's generous, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I'm being nice. You know what I mean. And it's hard when you get to a new team. I'm not defending guys. It's just, and it's hard not to play a lot of minutes. And then Phil Haber, what a great story. He signs a deal and. You know what I mean? And then he comes and plays an NHL game, almost scores a goal. The Myers stops, and he played, 4 minutes? I mean, like I've said to you before, I think it's exciting. It's fun. It's a privilege to play in the National Hockey League. But when you're playing 4 minutes a night, it's I'm laughing because I've done it too many times. It's hard. It's hard. And it's I'm laughing. I'm having flashbacks. But it's hard because if things don't go your way or that chance that you missed there might never come back. You know what I mean? Because it might take 3 weeks if you're playing regularly in the lineup of 4 or 5 minutes a night. You might not have a chance like that for another 4 or 5 weeks. In his case, hopefully that's not, his last game ever, but it might never come back. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. You never know when you're going to play your next game in the National Hockey League. So I think they're just trying out a few things and go from there and trying to see what sticks. And I think they're just a victim of the road trip. You know what I mean? Where sometimes you can do that in the practice and call up a couple, especially when they're down the street, and to see what could work. But they just, first of all, haven't had any practices because they're all banged up. They're all still sick, and it's just been a long haul, and they've been on the road.
Well, even with the rotating guys deep in the lineup, Eric, we might have some good news. Of course, lineups are always in flux, so never consider anything a permanent change. But it looks like right now the Avs have dropped Mikko Rantanen down to that second line. It's a play with Casey Middlestat and Ross Colton, and Val Nichushkin is moving up to the top line for tonight's game. So how much of this is... let me just ask you this question more broadly than just the lineup. We've seen the Avs have inconsistent scoring this year. Even with two of the top scorers in the league in MacKinnon and Rantanen, it feels like they'll score 4 or 5 points in a night and then have nights where the entire team struggles to put the puck in the net. How much can a move like this help solve that?
Go back to the summer. We were talking about it all summer, having fun, and we were being, we were coaches, you know what I mean, where that's what coaches do all summer. They get the marker out, the dry erase marker, and you're slotting guys in, and you're assuming no one's hurt at that time. And now it's a little bit of the same thing because all of a sudden you lose guys to injury. Then, you know what? It's funny because coaches are all the same. And again, I don't work for the Avalanche anymore, and I wasn't at dinner with Jared Bednar last night, but I can tell you that coaches are all the same. They're at dinner, and all of a sudden they take the napkin out, and then they take the pen out. And then they're like, because they're together with the other assistant coaches or CMAC or whoever's on the road trip, and it's like, what about this? What about that? You know what I mean? And I do believe, I'm the one that's been bugging you all summer about Middlestat with, with their Anthony.
I've been
right?
on board. I've been on board, buddy.
I know you've been on board. That's what I'm saying. Like, we've been saying it, and it's like, and it's happened. It's happened a little bit. Again, maybe I'm talking out of my my backside here, and maybe it hasn't happened enough to my liking. I think it's happened a few times, but maybe not enough. Where let them stick together. They called up, not they called up. They made Shillington play the start. Remember, after a while, they're like, we told him he was going to play 2-3 games because we don't want him to just go in there for a few minutes and all of a sudden feel that he's out of the lineup again. But that's kind of my feeling with keeping Casey with Mikko. You know what I mean? Like, keep them for a little bit. Don't worry about Mac. He's going to find a way. He's got an unbelievable player and MacKinnon with him, and don't worry, and Val, and then don't worry about Mikko. Mikko's an unbelievable player. He can play without Mac. And when that happens, you keep them together and for a little bit longer than just a game or a period and see where this goes. And I think that at the end of the day, I do like the fact that, they would be, splitting Nate and, Mikko. And I'm sure you're going to see them a little bit on the power play together as well. So I do believe that's a good combo. That's a combo that could work. Again, like I said, if you give it time, I think you'll be able to see if this can really work. I mean, why wouldn't it work? You know what I mean? You have an unbelievable passer. You have an unbelievable playmaker, a guy that can play in tight, and Casey Middlestat with the Moose that can absolutely shoot from anywhere. And he can complement the MVP of the league, and he certainly can complement a good player in Casey Middlestat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense on paper, but we've seen a lot of things that make a lot of sense on paper not necessarily work out this year, not just for the Avalanche, but around the league as a whole. So we'll see. I think at the end of the day, there are a couple of things that remain true. At any point in any game, any time of year, if the Avs need a goal, you're going to see Mac and Mikko go back together. Don't be surprised by that. But you've also seen Val be solid for Colorado too. So maybe he can bring a little bit of stability to align with MacKinnon and Leckie. Maybe he sets up MacKinnon to be a little bit more dangerous when it comes to shooting the puck. So there are a lot of different factors here that are going to matter, that it isn't just, Mikko makes Casey Middlestat better. It's how do the other pieces slot in their roles, and how do people adjust? So we'll see on that front. But let's get into tonight's 3 keys of the game here. What do you got for us, buddy?
Here's what I got, buddy. I kept it very simple. We never touched on the power play for our keys, but I felt that it's a must.
And you're 5 of 60. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's almost panic button. It's starting to be panic button for me, even though I do believe in those guys, and I think I explained that the other day enough post game about the artists, and they'll get out of it. There's too much talent not to but enough's enough, right? You need to cash in. It makes you a game like tonight where you can just simplify it and then have a volume of opportunities and not just try that freaking play to the bumper. Yeah, it worked earlier in the season with Ivan and before that it was Ross. After that it was Lehkonen. It works a few times here and there. I do believe that you bring the puck up top, you shoot, and then that will spread the box a little bit, and then we'll open up the bumper play that we've seen work a few times this year. But right now, if you're just going straight up to that, it's not working. I think they're being a little stubborn with it. Again, they're all artists. You don't have to paint a Picasso. Sometimes you can just paint an absolute mess of a kindergarten painting, and it just gets it done.
Finger paints, buddy. Yeah,
painting is a painting, right? So I think it's very important tonight. Number 2, obviously, kid beware. Macklin Celebrini, number 7, one's a stud. I mean, honestly, he's surprising me. Obviously, I know him well. Last year, playing with my son at Boston University, unreal poise with the puck, skates with his head up, controls the game. He's going to want to measure himself up to 29. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's that type of kid. He's that driven kid that, plays the game the right way. I mean, last year was the youngest player in college hockey at 17 years old most of the season. Jay Pandolfo, a Stanley Cup winner in New Jersey, was the coach and couldn't believe how smart that guy was in the 200-foot game. And that's what MacKinnon does. He is different than any other kid that comes to the NHL. He's not even learning on the fly. He's actually up to speed and actually above most of the people around the National Hockey League. Now, it is a young team, but he is certainly their leader and will be their leader for many years to come. He's a fun kid to watch. So, you know what? He's been outstanding since he's gone back from his injury at the start of the year. And this is a kid that wants to be it. He's not scared of the it factor. So, our first time looking at the kid in the NHL tonight, so it's going to be fun to watch. Number 3, go back to championship habits. It's very simple. It's like our good old friend of the show, start on time, Joe Sacco. And then, stay above pucks. It sounds stupid, but, limit the turnovers, bring some speed, play Avalanche hockey. Play your game tonight. Play your type of game. Don't worry about the San Jose Sharks. Let them worry about you. And if you can do that, and if you can get on top of things, obviously, and get the lead, all of a sudden, you're not chasing the game, but you're playing the game, and you let the San Jose Sharks chase you down. And I do believe in volume shooting. I'm not downplaying Georgiev. His save percentage, we'll say it again. Look at the last couple of games. Shoot the puck. If you shoot the puck, it's going to go in at some point.
Yeah. I think that last one is the most important, as you can see, is our third topic of the day. We also put down shoot. So
Yeah.
double factor that one. But I think what is important about shooting the puck here is, look, sometimes you go into nights and maybe there isn't a great scouting report on the opposing goalie. Maybe they're playing their backup that hasn't played a lot. Maybe you don't have a good read on what you should target against a specific goaltender. The Avs should know Alexander Georgiev in and out. They should know every weakness. They should know every part of his game. And particularly, I think the thing that's important here for a Colorado Avalanche team that frankly likes to get too fancy at times, tries to score the perfect goal a little bit too often. Georgiev is one of the worst at-range goaltenders in the league. So low danger chances beat this goalie regularly. You watched it. Your team was going crazy watching it happen against you night in and night out for a large portion of this season. So the Avs should know better than anyone. Throw pucks at the net on this guy, get screens in front, and the puck's probably going to go in for you tonight.
You know me. I like I like blackjack. I compare everything to blackjack, and it's play the percentages. You know what I mean? And I think that if you're the Avalanche, you can't be stubborn and shoot the puck. Volume shooting is that very important tonight. Don't pass up a shot. If Georgiev beats you, it beats you. That's awesome. He's won games in the NHL before. No one has ever said that he's not capable of winning games. It's just that it wasn't the right fit of goaltending for the Avalanche to move forward anymore. Now, with that said, you're right. I mean, from the outside, meaning from the blue line, he is not the best through traffic. So, maybe that's something you work on tonight. Down low play, and then you bring it low to high and put a little bit of resistance at the net. And, that's one of his weaknesses. It's a fact. I mean, the numbers are there. He struggles with that type of stuff. So maybe don't just try to go and get chances off the rush and have one and dones, and you never have sustained pressure on the offensive zone where you're not able to go from low to high and put some point shots at the net. You have Cale Makar that can put the puck on net like anybody else in the league can. He's the best at it. And then you have Devon Tays. Guys like that are able to. Sam Malinsky, he looks a little bit a shade of Cale Makar at times when he's shooting the puck. You double look. Is this Cale or is this Sam Malinsky? So he's got that little hitch there a little bit. And I'm not putting the pressure on Sam Malinsky. I'm saying he is capable of putting the puck on net. So you have some guys on the back end that can put pucks on net. So at the end of the day, let's do that. Let's get to the front. And that's what I was saying on key number 3, championship habits. Once you do that, you do the little things right, then you should be able to all of a sudden Lehkonen tip a puck, Matushkin tip a puck. It's time to get a little more greasy. I think it's time to get a little more dirty. And I'm all for nice goals and everything, but it's kind of nice to get a lot of dirty ones and get rewarded with some effort that you're actually putting down on a game plan and executing it.
Things have to get better at some level. I'm not saying the Colorado Avalanche have been horrible, and I do think they have been better since they made their goalie trades, but this is at a point in the season where, especially against a team like San Jose, there are no more excuses left. You have to start winning hockey games. You look at this San Jose Anaheim back-to-back, and realistically, if you're the Avalanche, you're looking at needing 4 points out of 4. At least personally, when you go watch my reviews, I've been pushing off the timeline for the Avalanche, saying as long as they hang in there, they'll be all right. Well, the timeline's coming. After Christmas break, certainly, the Avs have to start performing like the team that we think they should be.
Yeah, and the only thing I'm going to say from talking to people this morning, and you know me, I don't use excuses. I don't like excuses. I always say when you play 3 and 4, it's a tough one. It's it's in reality. This doesn't apply to tonight. This is a game you should have energy. This is a game, you have some injuries, but over all year you've overcome those things. The only thing I want to tell you is they are still under the weather. That's a fact, and it's been rampant around the team. And I know what you said the other day, and I agree with you. I'm saying that fight through it. You know what I mean? I don't use it as an excuse that you're not feeling good. I get it. It stinks. Like I said, I'm the biggest softy when it comes down to being sick. Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, wouldn't leave my bed for 3 days. I came on the show, I sounded like death, and you know what I mean? It was like, and I felt so bad, you know what I mean? And my wife just kicked me in the butt, and she's like, you're such a softy. But it's just like, but you're right. And when Rudo said it the other day, it's just, all I'm saying is, don't use that you're not feeling good as an excuse. Just fight through it. It's 2.5 hours. I know it's hard, but fight through it. Don't succumb to the pressure of mentally saying I'm sick and I'm not into it. You know, I mean, you can't in the situation they're in with the hole they dug themselves at the start of the year and the injury that they faced. They can't, have those thoughts in their mind. You just got to fight through it and then just go demolish everything that's in front of you.
Yep. It'll be interesting. I do want to get a couple more of your thoughts, but before we do that, let's get into my pregame picks brought to you by Bet365, where it's never ordinary. Jump on with this one. I don't know. I actually didn't have a good vibe on exactly what I should bet here, so I took some fun ones. I took the Avs to win the first 10. If there's anybody they can have a better first period against, it's got to be Alexander Georgiev, right? I mean, why not give it a go? I also just am feeling Ross Colton. Feeling him tonight, so I hope he puts the first one in, plus 1,200 on that if you want to have a crazy bet. And then I'm taking Blackwood over on saves. I take Blackwood over on saves for a very specific reason. I think the Avs are going to get ahead and stay ahead in this game. When you're ahead, you face more shots against. So I hope Blackwood can make those saves solidly and also look good while doing it against a team that probably should not be very good. And more importantly, that probably means the Avs are playing pretty well. So
those are my three picks. Of course, go make your own. They have tons of parlays. We have DNVR boosted bets as well. Go check them out. If you don't want to bet on the Avs, you can bet on any other things. You can probably get some live bets in on the Broncos right now. If that's your thing, you can do that too. Whatever it is, make sure you do it with Bet365 with the DNVR 365 code when you sign up. And of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER there. So I kind of gave away my player pick of the game right there in Ross Colton. Just have a good vibe. I think especially against these weaker teams, you want to see that second line start to make a little bit more hay, right? We talked about Nico helping Middlestat there, but you also have Ross Colton as a guy, at least on rate scoring, he's scoring at an incredibly high clip this year, and you want to see him keep that up. So, realistically, you could look at him as a permanent second liner if he can consistently score this season.
I'm loving that you put Ross Colton, because I was gonna say, when we were talking about Casey and Mikko, don't forget a guy like Ross. He's feeling it this year. He was feeling so good, and then he got hurt, and then came back. And what I tell you all the time, when you're coming back from an injury, you usually have that bump for a game or two, and then all of a sudden, for a couple games, I think it's just a little human nature. Things go back down, and you have a little bit of dip, in your play. I'm not saying that there was a dip in his play. I'm saying that I feel like he's going to be like a dog on a bone tonight. I really love the fact that, and you and me had talked about your picks before. That's the first time I saw them right there. So I really like that pick. I do feel he's going to be an important player for the Avalanche, as he's been most nights this year. But also, I love the fact that what you said about Blackwood, like we saw this first game there, when the Avs have the lead, it is just how this thing works. It's how the hockey world works. There's going to be a push from the other side. Again, I think San Jose is a young team. It's a team that's lower in the standings, but you got to respect everybody in the NHL. And I do feel that way. If the Avalanche take the lead, then you'll see some more offensive time and shots being taken at Blackwood, and that could bring up the saves up to a certain level, and that's why I feel it's a good bet. And I do feel that this is how the game's going to go tonight.
All right, you got a score prediction for me?
I'm going to go 4-2 Avs. 4-2 Avs, and that's just what I'm feeling. Like I said, I think Colton is the guy tonight. That's going to be at the top of the list for the Avalanche on the scoring side of things. And I do expect some sort of a 4-2 score. I feel the Avalanche are winning this game. I feel the Avalanche need to win this game. Again, we talked about it. You don't lose 2 games in a row. You lost that last one. You got to get back into it. And then, like you said, they all's forgiven from last one.
All right. I like the 4-2 number, actually. That's the same thing I was thinking. So I like your number of pick there. I do think the Avs need to look good tonight. A couple other things to get into here, not necessarily related to the game. I see the chat talking about it. Yeah, if you haven't heard, there were some layoffs at DNVR. Not going to address it on the pregame show, but I will talk about it in our postgame show tonight if you want to hear what we have to say. So, yeah, we'll talk about it later tonight. There is no watch-along tonight, unfortunately. We kind of have a last-minute at-home setup here, as you could probably tell, with some technical difficulties on my side. So, our bad there, but we should have watch-alongs back up and running very soon, just not for tonight. This one, either way, we'll see how the Avs are able to perform. Look, I know people don't want to say there's anything more to it, but I do think it's human nature to have a little bit of emotion playing against a former team or former teammates or whatever it might be. Maybe less so with someone like Blackwood who has been playing on a San Jose team, not for all that long, and they were never particularly good. But we'll see. That could go both ways. Maybe Georgiev is emotionally charged and plays great tonight. That's on the table. You don't know. So we'll see one way or another. Any final thoughts about this one, E, before we get out of here?
No, but you're bang on what you're saying, and I think you're dealing with 3 players. 2 on the San Jose Sharks and Blackwood on the Avalanche side of things, because Gianni Smith is not there, obviously, so being sent back down. But you're dealing with 3 players tonight having some sort of different kinds of emotions. Newer for Georgiev and Kovalenko, because that's their first time, being traded. A little different for Blackwood. He's been traded a couple times, so he's done and he's been through it. Like I said, usually it's like somebody that has a baby. If their wife has a baby, they're scoring that night. It's just the way it is. I don't know why. It's just absolutely crazy. And usually when you play against your former team, you usually score. Again, now we're going to see a goalie goal tonight. That would be sick, but again, you might see Kovalenko score a goal tonight. That's awesome because you wish him nothing but the best. But, yeah, it does happen all the time. So I would expect those 3 guys to really perform well tonight against their respective teams, former respective teams.
Yeah, I think so, too. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Even with no watch-along, please do join us for the post-game where we'll break it all down, and I will hopefully have whatever these technical issues are fixed. So, my mic doesn't keep cutting out to a bad one. We appreciate all y'all hanging out here. I hope you enjoy the game. Follow us on Twitter. I'll be tweeting live there since there's no watch along if you want to follow along with my thoughts. And we will talk to you after this one. Hopefully it's a fun one. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.